Hey Julie, how are you? Good to see you.
Hello, it's so nice to see you too. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. We're gonna start with our first question. Tell us about you.
Oh God. Do you really want to know? I am a Canadian born Lebanese lady. I was born in Ottawa. Both my parents are Lebanese, and I've been a musician my whole life. My whole life revolved around music, even when I was a kid. I have a couple of degrees in music. I sing. I host one of Canada's national classical music shows for CBC Music, Tempo. So if I'm not performing music, I'm talking about music. And if I'm not doing any of those things, I'm sitting on the couch and trying to rest and relax. So it's a big life. I got a lot going on all the time, including my little small business on the side called Carmen on Tap, in which I do the opera Carmen in restaurants as dinner theater. So that's sort of the short story of me, just music, 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 my whole life, and being on the radio the last decade or so, which has just made an incredible impact on my career.
Wow. Yeah, I think everybody, almost everybody in Canada heard you on the radio.
Almost, almost.
Yes. What are your hobbies?
Ah, I love this question. I have no hobbies. I
Yeah.
know that sounds crazy bananas, but when your whole life is consumed with doing music and musical projects outside of my full-time job. So I work for CBC full-time, and then I sing as much as I can. So all my vacation time at CBC is taken up with singing. And then there's my Carmen on Tap that I do once a year, or how many ever times people ask for it.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really leave a lot of time for a kind of a conventional hobby. Like I don't knit or anything like that. But I do like to work out. I do like to work out, and I make sure that I carve out, not that it's doing me any good, honestly. I'm still like, my clothes still fit the same, but I feel like, especially during the pandemic, you got to get outside, you got to get your air, and the weight is a kind of a byproduct. So it's good for everything, your mind, your energy, your mood. So I don't have any real hobbies per se. Like, I'm not building toy ships or anything like that in my spare time, but I do try to work out. And I think, a lot of musicians will tell you that they don't have time for a hobby. They're too busy doing their stuff, and then they come home and collapse on the couch and get up and do it all over again. But I love my life, and I don't actually feel like I need a hobby, which is a nice thing to feel. Like, I don't need, like, I have to search for something to fill in all the time. So that's it.
Yeah, I think when you're a musician, this side gets fulfilled in a way or in another. So,
You're
yeah,
right. It does get
probably right.
fulfilled by a default.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your favorite cuisine or food?
It's so funny you ask that, because often when you go on gigs, somebody from the company will write you and say, "What do you like to eat?" And I always write back, "I eat everything. It's a problem." So I love food. I feel like food is an expression of joy and love and passion and flavor. It's one of the great joys of being alive. But I am 100% pure laine Libanaise. And I have to say, I think I love Lebanese food the most, even though that's my culture. I think we have the best food. If you think of like tabbouleh and hummus and all the stews my mom would make when we were little, it's so flavorful. It's the Mediterranean diet. I grew up eating it, and I'm not sick of it. I make a mean tabbouleh. I make wonderful hummus. So I do love Lebanese food. I think it's my number one. And I do love number two. The second level would be either Mexican. I don't know why. Like, I could eat fajitas and burritos and guacamole and refried beans till the cows come home. So I love Mexican, and I also love Indian. So I think those two are tied for second place. But it's true. Like, I love everything.
What do you like to do when you're in Montreal? What are your favorite things to do here?
The best thing to do in Montreal is just walk around. I think just walking around Montreal is such a pleasure because it's just beautiful everywhere, for one thing. Every neighborhood, every corner, every quartier is just has its own vibe and beauty and character. So when I lived there, I went to McGill. So I often lived pretty far away from McGill, but not only far enough that I could walk, but the walk would be a good half hour. And I'm telling you that walk to school and walk to back would be the best part of my day, because I love going in the stores. And even if you're not buying anything, just to go in and look and talk to people. I love shopping there. I love Schwartz's. I always make sure I go to Schwartz's if I can. I used to live right around the corner from Schwartz's on Hotel de Ville. You'd walk by it when you're hungry after school and it would just kill you. And I love, of course, going up to St. Viateur and getting fresh bagels there. So for me, it's about that experience, that kind of European experience, that it's such a walkable city. And you miss those things. If the pandemic has taught me anything, one of the things is that I miss strangers. I miss just seeing people on the street and carrying your groceries home and looking in shop windows and peeking in here and there at all the cool places. So Montreal is just a wonderful experience in a holistic way.
Yeah. You know, everybody says the same thing. Whenever you ask this question, people love walking.
I know.
And just like window shopping, getting into stores. It's something.
Just want to go outside, and I want to speak French. The other thing is, I want to speak French. I grew up going to French immersion school, and I've been fluent in French my whole life. But now, when you step away from it for a few years, it's super hard. You start to forget your words, kind of like Arabic with me. And but French is, French was my second language.
Yeah.
So I look forward to going to Montreal to speak French on top of it. So for me, it's a nice muscle. I'm not a person who, some people are shy because they don't want to make a mistake and they don't want to make grammar mistakes. But I'm like, no, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to speak French. And if I say something wrong, you'll fix it. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay. Now, to our last question, which is about the work you're performing with the Orchestre Classique de Montréal on March 8th and 9th. Carmen, what does this work mean to you? I'm sure you performed it in many ways and many times, but tell us about it.
I feel for me that Carmen as a character is my soul sister. And I think when you have a soul sister in your real life, or a soul mate of some kind, even if it's not a romantic thing, if there's a friend that you've been friends with for your whole life, you find that you evolve together. And for me, this operatic role is my soulmate because we have evolved together. Carmen is just a fantastic character who is a freedom fighter in her own way. Her thing is that she just wants to be free. She wants to do what she wants. She doesn't really want to hurt people, but she wants to be free. And if being free means she has to hurt you, then she will, as in breaking up with Don Jose, who can't handle the freedom. So I think that all the things barring the criminal element, Carmen and her, what I like to call her lust for freedom, but it's not even a lust. She just wants to be free like everybody else does. And her personality, that kind of coming in and taking over and flirting and being a big presence that's attractive and also vulnerable, but also strong. And I love this person. I love what she stands for, and I love her personality. And I feel like I have many of those qualities, which is why it in a way makes me feel very close to this character. And yes, I have sung it very much a lot over the years. But over the years, I've been changing. I get older. So my take on what her love life means, or what her freedom, her quest for freedom, her desire for freedom is all about. And it's ever changing for me. So as I change, my friendship with her changes, but it keeps getting deeper and it keeps getting richer. So
Mhm.
I think that is what great art should do for us, that it's a chameleon and that it changes every time you listen, but it's not really changing. You are changing. And it's magic. I think it's the last bit of true magic in the world.
Wow, that's beautiful. I
Well,
think
thank you. You're so sweet.
like our artistic works always like when you revisit them. I mean, when they grow
Right?
with you, there is something that you add up and it shows in your performance. So you're bringing a new Carmen every time, I guess.
You are bringing a new thing every time, and it's not just Carmen, it's all the things. When you put down any song that you haven't had, or any character that you haven't brought to life in a couple of years, the thing is, these works of art are so big. They're so big, you can't digest everything in the first. So you come back the second time and you go, oh my God, I missed that, look at that. And then you pay it, and then the third time and the fourth time. So you're forever digging in this well, in this gold mine of stimulus, of information, of emotion, of all of these things working. It's like a disco ball. It's just all turning around and glittering. And you can't capture it all the first time, which
Yeah.
is why it's so fascinating to be a musician of this sort, because like you said, every time you come back, you've missed something and you build and you add and you just keep adding. And all those layers make for some really interesting performances. It's like string quartet material. All string quartets around the world have been playing the same string quartet music since, and adding new stuff. But the old tried and true, all those Haydn string quartets, for example, it's because every year they're finding something different and they're changing. It's fascinating because it really is about people. It's about people. It's about the human condition,
Yeah, true. Well,
right?
yeah, it is very true. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on the 8th and the 9th of March with the Orchestre Classique de Montréal and Montreal.
I look forward to seeing you. It goes both ways.
Okay, and thank you so much for giving us time and see
My
you soon.
pleasure. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.